In the small town of Umwogele, which was bustling with life and excitement, and where everyone literally knew everyone. In this community, children were never raised by their parents alone, but by every single member of the community. Life was very simple here. The people were very contented. Their men had simple jobs. Some worked as goldsmiths, while others as mechanics, and others owned shops where they sold different things. While their women worked as hairstylists or tailors or even teachers. Late in the evenings, the men would usually gather together in front of Akanu's shop. Akanu was the only barber in Umogili, and so he was very busy because all the men came to his shop to cut their hair every single day. And even those that did not want to barb their hairs also came because they were sure that they would see their friends. So Akanu's shop was the happening spot every single day. So while the men caught up and hung out in Akanu's spots, the ladies also visited Madame Ngozi's shop after they were done cooking meals for their home. Madame Ngozi was a hairstylist, and right there in her shop was the headquarters of gossip. There was nothing happening in Umogele that she did not know about. The community was really a close-knit one. Then one day, a beautiful young lady called Ifenkili moved into Umogele community, and soon everyone was talking about her. Umogele was a very small town, so even if a rat moves into that town, everyone will know. So it was no surprise that everyone knew that there was a new lady in town. But even if they did not want to notice her, they couldn't help it because Ifenkili was very curvaceous, with very big bum bum, and was busty as well. And she dressed quite seductively. And most of the women were unsettled by her presence in the community. Who is this lady, Seth? And what does she even want in our little town? Some asked, and others replied and said, see how she's even dressed like a prostitute. She not come here and corrupt our women, no. Madame Ngozi interjected. And then Isine replied and said, I think we should ostracize her. No one should talk to her. That way, she would feel very uncomfortable and will know that she's not welcome here. And then she will go back to where she came from. Izine said mischievously, and they all agreed to it and busted out into laughter. So a few days later, Ifenkili had settled down in her new home. It was very simple and nothing fancy, but it was home to her. For many days, Ifenkili thought of the business that she could start. So she decided that she was going to start food business. At least, she was sure that everyone needed food for survival, and so people would buy from her. So a few days later, with so much excitement, Ifenkili left her house very early in the morning to the morning market, which was at the outskirts of town, where villagers usually brought foodstuffs and sold to neighboring town at very cheap prices. And a few hours later, and she was done buying. She went back to Umogele looking very excited at the prospect of making so much money if she was able to sell off all her goods. So Ifenkili walked to the market and displayed her foodstuffs. She even pegged them at very low prices just so that people would be more inclined to buying from her. She even had a very big cheerful smile on her face as she called out to customers, fine auntie, come and buy my yam so and my fresh tomatoes. It's very cheap and very fresh. I even bought it this morning. Ifenkili said as she called out to passers-by. But no one stopped by her stall to even buy anything, not even one person. Instead, they walked up to their regular customers to patronize them. while some market women just whispered among themselves and laughed at her. And things continued like this for the next few days. No one came to patronize her. And because most of the things that she had bought were perishable goods, Ifenkili had no choice than to cook them and eat. As she sat on her couch one day, eating the food which she was supposed to sell, she thought aloud and said to herself, "Why do these women hate me so much? It is as though they all ganged up against me, as if they all came together and reached a consensus not to buy from me, despite the fact that my prices are way cheaper than theirs. What did I even do to them? Anyway, I need to find a way to win their trust and their love so that they would accept me as one of them." Ifenkili said aloud to herself, looking very worried. So Ifenkili decided to observe the town a little bit more, and that was when she noticed that Madame Ngozi's salon was more or less every lady's spot, especially in the evenings. So she felt that if she could become Madame Ngozi's customer and get her to like her, then maybe Madame Ngozi would tell the other women nice things about her, and maybe they would start liking her and make her feel more welcome in Umogili. So the following day, Ifenkili dressed up and went to the salon. "Hi ma, please, I would love to make my hair," Ifenkili said with a big smile on her face. But to her surprise, Madame Ngozi just replied her and said, "I'm sorry, I will not be able to make your hair. As you can see, I am very busy." Madame Ngozi replied in hostility, "Ah, no problem at all, ma. I will wait for you to be done with the hair that you're making." Ifenkili replied eagerly, as she was more than determined to be in Madame Ngozi's good books. But Madame Ngozi simply replied and said, "Auntie, no need to wait for me. I still have other appointments, even though they are not here yet. I do not want to keep them waiting when they come. So please find someone else who can help you make your hair." Madame Ngozi replied angrily. And so, Ifenkili had to leave. She had gotten the message loud and clear. The women did not like her and did not want her in their town. Ifenkili was very sad. She sat down in her home all night thinking about her life. She had to find a way to make money, as the money she had come into Umogili with was going down very quickly. Some days she thought long and hard on what business to venture into, but she knew that whatever business she decided had to be one that men would patronize her, since the women had ganged up against her. So one day, she came up with a perfect plan. She knew the exact business that she was going to do. So she went ahead and rented a beautiful shop and began to renovate it. Many of the ladies who saw her shop laughed and mocked her as they passed by, even though they did not know what business she was going to start up. Who will patronize this one? Someone that no one bought anything from in the market. Wonder shall never end. And now she has come to rent a shop. I wonder what she will sell this time. The ladies laughed and mocked her as they passed by. But Ifenkili kept her cool. And a few weeks later, her shop was opened and looking very beautiful. Lo and behold, it was a barbing salon that had a beer parlor and even a television in it. And as usual, the ladies who passed the front of her shop laughed at her and mocked her to stupor. Biko, when did a woman start barbing hair? Who will even patronize this one? Definitely not my husband or my brother. If not, they will have me to contend with, the ladies said among themselves. But Ifenkili did not care. If the women were not going to buy from her, then she was going to sell to the men. So Ifenkili started dressing very seductively. She would also put on loud music in her shop. Then she would go to the front of her shop and shout aloud, "I am giving free haircut to the first 10 persons who come in to have a haircut." Ifenkili would scream at the top of her lungs. But most men, even though they were intrigued and tempted to go in and get a free haircut, they did not take up her offer for fear of their wives, because they knew that their wives would be mad at them if they did. So for 3 weeks, Ifenkili showed up every single day and opened her salon, yet no one stopped by. But Ifenkili was very determined this time. A few weeks later, and it was Champions League, and unfortunately, the transformer that was supplying light to the whole of Umogili had blown up. Ifenkili saw this as an opportunity and then put a signpost in front of her shop that read, "Come and watch Champions League." Some of the men who did not have the money to buy fuel and put in their generator to watch the Champions League decided to go to Ifenkili's salon. Immediately they entered the shop, they were shocked at how beautiful and cozy the ambience was. "Here is so nice," Emeka said to Ifenkili. "Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, please make yourself comfortable, sir. You're welcome," Ifenkili replied, smiling, and then went ahead to serve them cold and chilled beer, and then put on the television for them. Emeka and Arinze began to watch football excitedly. Ifenkili was so happy. And after they were done watching the match, she barbed their hair. And even though she charged them 2,100 naira, which was 3 times what Akanu, the popular barber, charged, they were more than happy to pay. Because the service and luxury that they experienced was second to none. The men paid and waved Ifenkili goodbye. Ifenkili was so happy. This was a good sign. So the next day, some more men came. Emeka and Arinze had spread the news about the top-notch service they had received in Ifenkili's salon and at how good she was with barbing hair. And so from that day onwards, lots of men started trooping in to barb their hair at Ifenkili's salon. Most of them came to watch football, but barb their hair too. Ifenkili's shop was always filled to the brim. She was always overbooked and very busy. Ifenkili was so excited. She was making a lot of money. But apparently, she was the only lady who seemed to be happy in the whole of Umogili, because many happy homes were no longer happy as the women began quarreling with their husbands for visiting Ifenkili's salon. Papa Chika, what is wrong with you? Why will you go to that useless girl to cut your hair? Are you sure that it's only your hair that you're going there to cut? What happened to Akanu's shop? Why can't you go and let a man barb your hair? Why is it a woman that is touching your head? Madam Chika screamed at her husband, Papa Chika. Then Papa Chika replied angrily and said, "What is wrong with you, woman? Do I report to you? When did you become the head of this house? This should be the first and last time that you ever in your life question me again. Did you hear me?" Papa Chika screamed angrily at Mama Chika. And soon enough, the ladies started gathering in clusters in Madam Ngozi's shop to discuss this new development. Can you imagine that our husbands are now going to that silly girl's salon to get a haircut? I am sure that she's not only giving them a haircut, she's also giving them something else. Chiamaka screamed angrily. My dear, we need to do something, no, and we need to act fast because that girl is a Jezebel. I will not be surprised if she has an inner chambers in that her salon where she's busy giving another private service to our husbands. Mama Chika interjected. The ladies were very furious. Meanwhile, Ifenkili was very happy. All the men, married and single, were always flocking in and out of her shop. She knew that the ladies were not happy with her, but she did not care. After all, they had refused her hand of friendship and had also refused to buy anything from her when she sold at the market. And things continued like this for a few more weeks. By this time, some women had even become more agitated and had gone to confront Ifenkili. You this woman, leave my husband alone, no, Ashawo, just go back to wherever you are coming from. You're not needed here. Chinelo barked at Ifenkili as she jumped on Ifenkili to beat her. This was literally becoming the order of the day. Ifenkili was always being attacked at random by ladies whose husbands visited her salon. Most of them booed at her, calling her prostitute and ashawo. Ifenkili became very scared for her life. So as much as possible, she avoided going out very early in the morning or late at night. She also avoided walking lonely paths, just so she doesn't meet another angry woman. All the women literally disliked Ifenkili, but Ifenkili did not care. She did not give a hoot because she was making an honest living. The men liked her and her business was successful, and that was all that mattered to her. But one morning, Ifenkili got dressed for work as usual and left her home excitedly and eager to render services to her customers that day. But to her greatest shock, upon getting to her shop, she saw her shop on fire. She screamed and tried to rush inside to save some things, but some men held her down because the fire had already consumed the shop. The whole place was already on fire and it was pointless for her to run inside. Ifenkili cried and wailed loudly, "Who did I offend? Who did this to me? All my investments gone, my life savings destroyed." Ifenkili wailed as she fell to the floor, weeping profusely. She went back to her home and throughout that night, she laid awake. She couldn't sleep. The tears just kept on flowing and wouldn't stop. She thought of her life and all the things that she had been through. She had come to Umogili with the hope of a fresh start at life. She had invested all her money into the salon business, and now it had burned to the ground. She was penniless and broke. For many days, she stayed locked up in her house. She refused to eat or drink, and no one even came to sympathize with her or even comfort her for her loss. That was when she realized that the people of Umogili were hostile and very heartless. So after many days of staying locked up in her home, one day, Ifenkili decided to take a stroll so that she could get some fresh air. But to her surprise, she saw some ladies whispering and laughing at her for the loss of her business. And that was the last straw that broke the camel's back. She went back home fuming in anger. I am done. I am done trying to do something legit and to start afresh. These people do not know me. They do not know what I am capable of. By the time I am done with these women, I will teach them a lesson. They will never, ever cross my path again. Ifenkili said, fuming angrily. So later that night, she dressed up very seductively and stood in front of her home. And as the men returned from work and saw her, they giggled with excitement, imaginations filling up their heads. Do you like what you see? Do you want some of this? It's just 10k per hour. Ifenkili said, smiling as she pointed to her body. And then Emeka, who was busy smiling like a fish, said, yes, yes. And then all the money which he had earned after a hard day's work, which was 10,000 naira, and which he was supposed to use for his family's upkeep, he handed it over to Ifenkili and went into her home to sleep with her. And this became the order of the day. all the men of Umuogili would branch at her house after work and stand on a long queue, waiting for their turn to have a good time with Ifenkili, and they would give her all the money that they had earned that day. And it was only a matter of time for the women of Umuogili to find out that their husbands came back home empty-handed. They became furious and had come to challenge Ifenkili one day. But to their surprise, it was their husbands who pursued them away from her house. Ifenkili had subdued all the men of Umuogili and had put them under her wrapper. As a matter of fact, some of them no longer went back homes to their wives and children. She would just sit in her parlor, and some men would be cooking for her, while others would be washing her clothes. And as if that was not enough, they would still give her all the money that they had earned that day. Ifenkili became the king of boys. She became stinkingly rich, while the women of Umuogili were very sad and hungry because their men no longer came back home or even provided for them. And things continued like this for a few weeks. One day, the women could not take it any longer, and so they came to Ifenkili's house, kneeling and pleading with her to please release their husbands, saying, "Ifenkili Bikono, please let our husbands go. We are sorry for how we treated you in the past. Please, we are missing our husbands, and our children are missing their fathers." The women begged, tears streaming down their eyes. Ifenkili stared at them long and hard, and then broke down in tears and said, "What did I ever do to you people? I came to Umuogili so I could escape from my past life and try and build a new life. But you women were so hostile to me and very unfriendly. I tried to start a business of selling foodstuffs at the market, but you all wouldn't buy from me. Instead, you mocked and laughed at me. You all ganged up not to patronize me or talk to me. You all decided to ostracize me. I was forced into prostitution at a very tender age by my auntie, and that is the only job that I have known all my life. I was trying to have a fresh start at life, but you all bullied me. I opened a salon since the women would not buy foodstuffs from me, because my father was a barber and had learned how to barb hair right from when I was very little. So I opened a salon so that since the women would not buy from me, then let me sell to the men. But yet, you people still went ahead and burnt my shop to the ground. So since you all do not want me to make an honest living, I had to resort back to the life that I hated, which is sleeping with men for money, just so I would punish you all. Because my auntie that forced me into prostitution did something on my body. She took me to a baba that did something to me. That once any man sleeps with me, I don't care who the man is, he gets glued to me and cannot leave me. So if not that you all came to beg me, and if not that this is not the life that I really want for myself, I would have held all your husbands captive so that you will all learn your bitter lesson. But it's okay. I forgive you, and I'll leave your town," Ifenkili said, crying. And they all thanked her profusely. So the following day, she packed up her bags and left Umuogili for good, hoping that she would find better luck in the next community that she moves to, and that she will be able to leave prostitution for good and start up a legit business. Hi besties, it's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. So if you were in Ifenkili's shoes, would you have let the men go just like that? Or would you have held on to them just a bit longer so as to deal with these foolish women? What would you have really done? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel. It's free. Just click the subscribe button. Okay? Support your homegirl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing it with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories, Bye.